Hello and welcome back to the Emotions at Work video series. I'm Stephanie Mitrano-Meda from Innovation Copilots. In this fifth video, I will share a technique to help you change perspective and hence find new ways to view and evaluate a situation, as well as inspire you to act maybe differently than usual when you are feeling emotional. First, you need to be clear about what your values are. So here is a non-exhaustive list of values. The idea is to pick 3 of them. You can decide to pick 10 and then evaluate them 2 by 2 in order to find your top 3. There are different methods to that. I don't want to go into detail here, but the idea is to come out with 3 top values. If you are doing the exercise now, then pause the video to give yourself time to choose your top 3 values. Next, for each of these values, you want to be a bit more specific and you want to give them a little definition. It doesn't have to be a dictionary definition, it just needs to be yours. What does this word mean to you? So here's my definition of love, peace, and truth. It doesn't have to be, as I said, technically the definition you find in a dictionary, but it does encompass some of the notions that you attach to that word. And you can also write, if you want, some examples of how you live or embody this value in your life, at home, at work, or in society. And you do this for each of these 3 values. Then what you want is to find a person or a character who embodies at least one of these values, ideally the top 3, but at least one. And this person can be someone you admire in your family, it can be a celebrity, it can be a historical figure, or even a fictional character for this. Here for me, I would choose the Dalai Lama. But obviously you can find other inspirations. There are plenty of people who can embody different values here in the world, and historical ones and current ones. But also I like to use maybe models that are less known but that can inspire you, especially for women in science, for example. I do like this one because they've created posters for girls to encourage them into scientific studies. Some people even like to draw or use a picture of the person or the character and then attach the different words and values and definitions and make a whole artistic project out of that. If it helps, the more you reinforce the image, the better it is for this exercise. So what you need is to really reinforce and have this mental picture of this person and what she or he represents so that it becomes accessible in times of need. So that's the first part of the exercise, is creating that mental image. Now what we want is the practical application in your emotional life. There are actually 2 usages for this person of value. One is in, let's say, cold, meaning that it's not during the emotional moment, but it's afterwards when the emotions have subsided, and it's a time of self-reflection. And basically what you are doing is that imagine you are interviewing the Dalai Lama and asking, what is your perspective on this event? What do you see? What do you interpret? What is your evaluation? And the idea is to try to answer these questions as if you were the Dalai Lama. I know it's a big task, but it's really just answering with I. I think that I would feel this and this is how I would react. You can do this aloud or you can do it writing it. The important thing is really to explore this new perspective. So, for example, the Lama would have thought that, oh, this person is suffering and I feel compassion for her. and I would ask a question to know how I can help, which was probably very different than the automatic response maybe I would have given. But hey, at least even taking a step back, I get some inspiration. So, of course, I'm not pretending to be the Dalai Lama, and I have no idea in this situation how he would answer. Um, but it is that part of me attached to these values, let's say the highest part of me, who tries to live by the values of love, peace, and truth, who would answer these questions. So you might say that in hindsight, yeah, it's easy to think like that, and yes, I agree. But what we're doing here is showing yourself that there are other options, other thinking options, other behaving options. Like I shared in video number 4 about building strategies, the idea is to give yourself alternatives than your usual path, your usual way of behaving. If you cannot identify alternatives, your brain will go for the easiest, fastest, which is the old behavior. So I hope that this kind of helps you think of, okay, how can this person who lives my values, because I'm not trying to be someone else. I'm still want to behave in my own values, but I'm using this persona as an excuse to explore maybe a different path or different behaviors. Now, the second use of this personal value, it does require a lot of practice, but it is possible if you put your mind to it, is to use it hot, so meaning in the heat of the moment while the action is going on and you are feeling the emotion. What you want to do basically is avoid going the usual path and the automatic response by thinking, conjuring, let's say, the image of the person of value. Here I've chosen Frida and 3 of the keywords and values associated with her. And of course, you need to, how do I get this image in my mind? And the idea is that if you are been listening to your body and you feel the emotion, you're hearing the warning signals, these can be cues for thinking, oh, maybe it's time to think of how would Frida act here, or what would she do? Because what you want is having a new behavior, obviously inspired by your role model or someone who lives your values. It is key to understand here that we're not aiming to transform you into someone else, but to open new possibilities while staying true to your values. So, what I would suggest for you is to start with defining your values. Choose one or more characters or persons who embody these values. Ask yourself regularly how this person would think, feel, or act. You can use current situations you're living and reinforce their presence by having this mental image very present for you, whether it's visually or with sounds or their voice, whatever helps you remember their presence. And you call upon their mental presence when you need them, so in the heat of the moment. Now remember, as I said in earlier videos, these kinds of hot use of tools require practice and discipline, and it might not even work the first few times you're going to try it. But the more you practice, the better it will work. And always remember to be gentle and patient with yourself. Working with emotion takes some time. Now, I hope you found some value in this video, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned for further techniques to help you work towards more emotional empowerment.